DC has launched hundreds of superhero teams, but not all of them survived. Some shined in the Silver Age, carried hit titles in the Bronze Age, or exploded in popularity during the Modern Age, only to be abandoned when the spotlight moved on. A bold team built to rival Marvel, erased after just a few years. A fan-favorite lineup dropped when sales slipped, and a group once central to DC's universe now forgotten completely. So which popular teams did DC leave behind? Here are 10 popular teams DC abandoned. At number 10, we have Batman and the Outsiders. Their first published appearance came in the preview of The Brave and the Bold issue 200 in July 1983, before launching in Batman and the Outsiders issue 1 in August 1983. Formed in the Bronze Age, this was Batman's answer to a Justice League that had become too tied up in politics. Here, Batman created his own strike team, handpicking Katana, Halo, Geoforce, Metamorpho, and Black Lightning, building a family of heroes who followed his command without compromise. Their peak arrived between 1983 and 1985, when Mike Barr and Jim Aparo told stories that cemented Katana's rise and gave Geoforce his defining Markovian struggles. But, as the decade moved forward, the team's spotlight dimmed. When Justice League International was launched in 1987, DC shifted focus to its flagship team, leaving little space for the Outsiders. Revivals came later, but none matched that first spark. Still, the Outsiders shaped DC's future Black Ops teams and left a lasting mark. At number 9, we have the Doom Patrol. Their first appearance came in My Greatest Adventure issue 80 in June 1963, right in the heart of the Silver Age. They were unlike anything DC had before. A band of misfits led by the wheelchair-bound chief, Niles Calder. With Robot Man trapped in a mechanical body, Negative Man cursed by radioactive energy, and Elastigirl struggling with her strange powers, they became the world's strangest heroes. Their stories carried a tone of tragedy and sacrifice, setting them apart from the clean triumphs of the Justice League. The defining moment came in the late 1960s when Arnold Drake and Bruno Premiani ended the series with the team's dramatic sacrifice to save a small village. That finale stunned readers, and the book was canceled soon after. Their disappearance came because DC believed a darker, tragic team could not sustain sales in a market dominated by more traditional heroes. The team came back in later versions, but their tragic ending was never forgotten. At number 8, we have Justice League Detroit. This unique roster was first formed in Justice League of America Annual Issue 2 in October 1984. Led by Aquaman and the Martian Manhunter, the lineup introduced new heroes such as Vibe, Gypsy, and Steel, alongside veterans like Vixen, Zatanna, and Elongated Man. Editorially, the move gave DC a more ground-level and character-driven Justice League at a time when the company's most famous heroes were appearing elsewhere. Based in Detroit, the team's stories between 1984 and 1985 showed a grittier league struggling with personal stakes rather than cosmic battles. But by 1987, the title wound down with issue 261, and the concept was abandoned as DC relaunched its flagship Justice League as an international team. The Detroit era vanished because sales fell short and the publisher wanted the global scale of Justice League International. Still, this short-lived roster introduced enduring heroes and set the stage for a tonal shift in DC's biggest team. But the next 3 teams show DC pushing even harder into legacy and history, from heirs to the Justice Society to Golden Age revivals and even wartime squads fighting for relevance in a changing market. At number 7, we have Infinity, Inc. Their first appearance came in All-Star Squadron issue 25 in September 1983, before launching into their own title with Infinity, Inc. issue 1 in March 1984. Created by Roy Thomas and Jerry Ordway, they were the heirs of the Justice Society, a team of sons, daughters, and legatees carrying forward the legacy of Golden Age heroes. Members like Jade, Obsidian, Nuklon, Silver Scarab, Fury, Northwind, and Brainwave Jr. became symbols of DC's generational storytelling. Their strongest years came in the mid-1980s, when the series told bold stories of identity, family, and destiny, cementing its cast in the larger mythos. Yet by June 1988, the series ended, as the Crisis on Infinite Earths rewrote continuity, and the market moved toward clearer brands like the Titans and Justice League. Infinity Inc. vanished because it overlapped with the Justice Society, leaving little editorial space. Still, its members lived on, shaping future DC sagas. At number 6, we have the All-Star Squadron. They were introduced in a preview in Justice League of America, issue 193 in August 1981, before launching in All-Star Squadron issue 1 in September of the same year. Created by Roy Thomas, this team brought the Golden Age back to life, uniting heroes of the 1940s in new adventures set against the backdrop of World War II. For the first time, readers could see forgotten icons fighting side by side, with their legacies carefully woven into DC's larger history. Their defining moment came in the mid-1980s, when Crisis on Infinite Earths folded their stories into the new continuity and gave them an essential role in bridging past and present. But by 1987, the title came to an end. They vanished because the Crisis removed the need for a permanent World War II book, and editorial focus turned toward the Justice Society and modern teams. Yet their influence endured, spawning Infinity, Inc. and preserving the Golden Age in DC's canon. At number 5, we have the Global Guardians. They first appeared in Super Friends issue 7 in October 1977, continuing through issue 9 by December of the same year. Born in the Bronze Age, this team was DC's first deliberate attempt to create an international roster of heroes, bringing together representatives from around the world to fight threats on a global stage. Characters like Green Fury, Ice Maiden, Jack-O-Lantern, and Dr. Mist gave readers a sense of diversity that the Justice League had never offered. Their peak came in the early 1980s, when they appeared across titles and encyclopedias as DC's true multinational squad. But their time was cut short. When Justice League International launched in 1987 with a global mandate, DC no longer needed the Global Guardians to fill that role. The team faded, their stories used only in passing, while some of their members found new lives elsewhere. Their legacy proved the power of worldwide hero teams. At number 4, we have the New Guardians. They were introduced in Millennium issue 1 in January 1988, and only months later headlined their own title, beginning with the New Guardians issue 1 in July 1988. They were chosen by the Guardians of the Universe and the Zamarons as humanity's next evolutionary step, uniting 12 people from across the globe. Characters such as Extrano, the first openly gay superhero in mainstream comics, Gloss from China, Jet from England, and Harbinger from Crisis on Infinite Earths became part of this team. Their short-lived series from 1988 to 1989 pushed boundaries, addressing subjects like environmental destruction, cultural identity, and even the AIDS crisis. But sales quickly fell, readers criticized the uneven tone, and the title was canceled after only 12 issues. The team vanished because its experiment overlapped with stronger Justice League titles and could not find a steady audience. Though brief, their impact opened doors for future representation in DC Comics. And if you thought DC's experiment stopped there, wait until you see the next 3 teams: Cosmic Rebels, Daring Adventurers, and forgotten wartime heroes who couldn't escape the shadows of bigger icons. At number 3, we have the Omega Men. They first appeared in Green Lantern issue 141 in June 1981, before showing up in the New Teen Titans issue 24 in 1982 and receiving their own title in 1983. Created by Marv Wolfman and Joe Staton, they were a group of alien freedom fighters from the Vega star system, battling the tyrannical Citadel. The team featured Primus, Tigor, Callista, Brute, and would later introduce Lobo in Omega Men issue 3 in 1983, a character who would rise far beyond the team itself. Their stories were bold, violent, and political, reaching a high point in 1985 when Omega Men issue 26 was published without Comics Code approval, marking them as one of DC's early mature reader titles. Yet by 1986, sales fell, and the series ended after 38 issues. They vanished because DC shifted its cosmic focus to Green Lantern and Legion titles, while Lobo's solo success overshadowed the team that created him. At number 2, we have the Challengers of the Unknown. They first appeared in Showcase issue 6 in February 1957, created by Jack Kirby. The team was made up of Ace Morgan, Professor Haley, Red Ryan, and Rocky Davis, 4 adventurers who survived a plane crash and decided to risk their lives on borrowed time. Unlike costume superheroes, they were ordinary men facing extraordinary threats, battling monsters, aliens, and strange scientific menaces. Their series ran from 1958 through the 1960s, with highlights including their battles against Multiman and crossovers with other adventurer groups. They were Kirby's prototype for what would later become the Fantastic Four, a bold experiment in team storytelling. Yet by 1970, superheroes had taken over comics, and the Challengers' pulp adventure tone no longer fit the market. Their book was canceled, briefly revived in the 1970s, and finally abandoned during the DC implosion in 1978. They vanished because readers favored costumed icons, leaving the Challengers as a forgotten relic of a different era. At number 1, we have the Young All-Stars. They first appeared in Young All-Stars issue 1 in June 1987, created in the aftermath of Crisis on Infinite Earths. When the Justice Society's Golden Age history was rewritten, DC introduced this new team to carry the spirit of the 1940s into the modern canon. Heroes like Iron Monroe, Flying Fox, Fury, and Neptune Perkins stepped into the roles once filled by Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman in wartime adventures. Their purpose was to preserve the feel of a World War II super team while respecting the new post-crisis continuity. The early issues captured attention by tying their battles directly into the themes of legacy and heroism under fire. But the series never reached the popularity of its predecessor, the All-Star Squadron, and it came to an end by 1989. They vanished because DC focused on revitalized Justice Society stories and saw little room for a second World War II title. Forgotten heroes, abandoned legacies, DC's past is full of surprises. If you want more videos, press the subscribe button and bell icon for regular updated, and don't miss the next deep dive.